Hey everyone, today is episode 9 of What If Season 2. Hello and welcome to Day Recap. Season 2 of What If has concluded, featuring a variety of crazy scenarios and new superheroes in the MCU. The main goal was to prevent the multiverse danger from destroying reality, which was achieved through Strange Supreme recruiting members. The final battle will reveal what has happened and how the series ended. In this episode, Peggy Carter is stuck in a 1602, but Strange Supreme has a plan to reunite Guardian of the Multiverses. Peggy agrees to help him by teleporting her back to her own time. Before transporting Peggy back, Strange Supreme shows Harry in his collection of multiverse killers, including Loki, Thanos, and Infinity Ultron. One of these killers has escaped is now loose in multiverse. Peggy initially declined to help, but Strange Supreme explained that she technically shouldn't save 1602. She agrees to face the escape convict and teleport Peggy back to her own time. At the South Dakota Badlands, Peggy encounters a massive statue of the Red Skull, and the Watcher warns her not to interfere. Kagori attacks Peggy, but she reveals that she is not a universe killer but Strange. They are teleported back to Sanctorum Infitorum, where Strange is trying to confine Kagori to the energy field. Kagori reveals that Strange is collecting radiant superheroes and feeding them to the Force, which is trying to resurrect Christine. Strange Supreme denies this, but Becky denies it, stating that the cost would be too high and she would not ask. Becky attacks Strange, but is powerless to stop him from destroying Kagori. In the attempt to stop Strange, Becky restored a crystalline cages, holding various universe killers, and Strange is doomed to deal with them while Kagori and Peggy escape. The next course of action is to destroy the Forge. Peggy and Kagori defeat Strange Supreme but face zombie Scarlet Witch and a zombie army. They are interrupted by Ella, who neutralizes Wanda. Surtur emerges as a distraction and Peggy and Kagori use him to escape. They face Thanos and Killmonger in the hallway, who was attacked by Universe Killer. Kagori uses Space Stone based power to teleport Killmonger to the main hall, where a riot is taking place. Peggy equips the Infinity Armor and uses Strange Supreme out of the Forge to feed prison into it. Strange appears out of the thin air and Peggy tries to convince herself that she is not in Forge before. After a long fight, Strange decides to copy himself in dozens of variants of Strange, and Peggy uses the Reality Stone to do the same with. Peggy is transported back in time, seeing Super Soldier being made and still about to be shot. She encourages her to stay and watch, hoping they will win World War II. Peggy dispels the illusion and Strange Supreme feed both hero and villains to the Forge. Kagori converts Strange teleporters into her own and uses her power to teleport all villain who mentioned to the Forge. Strange Supreme gains the upper hand and the Forge is restarted. Yellow throws her crown to Peggy and Kagori to help fight Strange Supreme, and many other villains relinquish their powerful artifacts. Kagori conjures up portals and sends all villains and heroes back home, topping the Forge. Peggy and Kagori equipped artifact to fight against Strange, who transformed a monster form with horns and leathery wings. Peggy uses her Infinity Stone to wend off Strange's new form, causing the Forge to fall apart and threatening to explode. In the final fight, both Strange and Peggy fell into the Destroyer's Force, but Strange keeps up and is thrown down the shaft. The Watcher transports Kagori and Peggy to save their life. In New York, Peggy and the Watcher see reborn Christine, revealing that Strange was not born in the universe. The Watcher takes Peggy back to her home universe, but she asks to take that scenic route to see the many wonders as possible. The Watcher shows her the multiversal tree, which Loki helped create at the end of the Loki season 2, and setting a new canon in the MCU that proves Loki is holding the multiverse together. Episode 9 and What If Season 2 is completed. We will see you in another series. Until then, take care and stay awesome.